I'm still confused about the Nuggets, Jason. And I want to ask you about them because you picked them to win the West ahead of the season. And I've had my questions about them. Last week, I ranted on this podcast about Jamal Murray being the number one guy to blame with his lack of improvement since they won a title. They are 12-10 on the season. They had a horrible loss to the Wizards. Then they beat the Hawks by 30. Jokic over these 2 games had 104 points in those games combined. What do you make of Denver? Do you still have any confidence in them as a team to win the West? Do you give them any chance, or are you out on that thought that you had before the season at this point?
So after how bad Jamal was getting shut down in the second half of Game 7 against Minnesota, and just in general, really uneven series and really an uneven playoff run. Like it was the high highs, but super low lows. After that, and after he was bad with Canada, I was expecting him to come into the season kind of motivated, maybe with a chip on his shoulder a little bit. And I did pick the Nuggets to win the West to start the season. I have them third now. Both Oklahoma City and Dallas, to me, are teams that I view as bigger threats to get out of the conference at this point.
Still third, though. Third is above Houston. It's above Golden State. It's above Phoenix.
Memphis,
That's a lot. Memphis, a lot of competitive teams, right? That's still high.
Yeah, and part of the reason, this is my case for that. First of all, every team in the West has big problems other than OKC, really. And even then they have health problems at this point. But like every team in the West has problems. So like I think it can get a little tricky when people like really focus in on specific flaws with certain teams, as if like the Lakers don't have huge problems, as if the Suns don't have huge problems, as if Memphis doesn't have execution issues at the end of games, as if all these teams have problems. And to me, like a certain amount of this, they're going to be in the 3 to 6 range because I think they're good enough to float in the regular season. Russ, do I have concerns about him in the playoffs? Absolutely. Do I have concerns about him in the large sample? Absolutely. But there is a lot of good that he's bringing. This thing where like Jamal is just not a threat coming off screens anymore, so that it's not generating any openings for Jokic in the short roll. And now Russ is getting him those openings again. This is crazy. Jokic didn't have a single game before this weekend with 10 points scored on roll man possessions. And then Russ got him 27 in 2 games.
Wow.
Because all these just spoon-fed easy opportunities in the short roll.
Jason, did you say he didn't have one?
Didn't have a single game with 10 points on roll man possessions until this weekend when he had 27 in the 2 games. And like literally just Russ just coming downhill. Like I'm seeing teams try to catch Russ as he's coming off to try to stop him from getting ahead of steam, because once he gets ahead of steam, it can be a problem. And so like it just is allowing them to have, between that and then Peyton Watson and Christian Brown and just the waves of athleticism. I actually think Christian Brown, them making that calculation to let KCP go and have Christian Brown fill that slot, I actually think that was a worthwhile gamble on their part, and it seems to have paid off. It's going to be up and down. There are going to be a lot of nights where the young guys struggle and they lose the game they shouldn't. Like that Wizards game is probably the worst loss of any team this year. Like to get that much from Jokic on the road against a 2-win team and you lose. But that said, like I think they've got a high enough floor to just kind of stay afloat over the course of the regular season. And then like Nikola Jokic to me is, I was thinking about this on my show today. I'm actually going to put you on the spot, Kevin. I'm a big LeBron guy, and I think you're a LeBron fan too, if I remember correctly.
Don't take LeBron for granted.
I don't remember ever seeing a basketball player make it look this easy on offense. I just don't, and I'm just trying to be honest. Like, and LeBron was really damn good on offense at the height of his powers. I don't remember it being like this.
No, I mean, I think Jokic. This is why it's so disappointing that the team is in this state right now. Why Murray hasn't improved, because Jokic has top 5 GOAT potential. Like he could enter that threshold of historic stars if he wins more titles. If he ends up with 1, I mean, he'll be top 15-ish all time, but you got to win more championships to be top 3, top 4, top 5 all time historically. And so I think when you talk about Jokic, the offensive dominance, the defensive improvement by him over the years by getting in his peak condition, it's pretty remarkable what he's turned himself into. And I think for him to have 56 points on Friday it was, and then 48 the other night, the dude can do that when he needs to. And it makes me, what your point about how easy he makes it look, it makes me think about what Harrison Wind over at DNVR, a great Nuggets reporter, he posted this on X over the weekend. He's like, Jokic used to have these protest games where he would take no shots. He's like this felt like the opposite, where it's like all he did was shoot. This was after the game against the Wizards. He's like, I don't feel like he trusted his teammates. All he did is shoot because he knew he had to do everything. So I thought Harrison made a really great point there, because it has gotten to the point where it is the opposite for Jokic. He used to protest with 0-shot games, being maximum level selfless, quote unquote selfless. And in this game, it's like I have to be the one who scores. I'm not going to look to pass in the way that I can or need to for this team to reach its peak, because this is where they are right now. They need Jokic to do this, and he's showing that he can do this. And I wonder if he's going to have to keep doing it, Jason, for the Nuggets to keep getting wins. Do you feel like it's at this point with Murray out right now, with other guys underwhelming, with the team really not shooting the ball well aside from him? Does Jokic need to keep scoring 35 plus points per game for the Nuggets to be that number 3 team in the West as you have them right now?
Unfortunately, yes. It's interesting. I was pulling numbers because it's like I think last night was the 3rd time in the last 4 games he's gone for at least 35, and over that span, I can't remember the exact number, but he's averaging something insane like 29 field goal attempts per game. So like the usage is just sky high. A big one that he's been bringing out is like there's been so much talk about the jump shot, which obviously is way better than it was last year, and obviously that helps in pick and pops and in spot up situations, and him being able to drive closeouts, which is such a huge part of his game. But another big part of it is he's starting to hit like the face up jump shot where he like comes off of a little curl around the elbow or just catches there for an ISO, and he just kind of sits there and leans and jabs and then just kind of leans back and shoots.
So awesome.
Like he's got that one going, and that one, it looks like such an easy breezy little flip of the wrist that it feels like he can do it without much work, and that
not
really
even
is
breaking a sweat at all, Jason. It's crazy.
I know. That to me is the thing that really sets him apart, is like you talk about, it's like, yeah, he's going to need to do this, but it's like he's so big and he plays such a ground bound, like physical leverage style of play where he always feels like he's playing balanced on 2 feet, that it just doesn't look like it's that difficult for him. And maybe it is, and you and I are making light of it, but like it just seems like he's just cruising through this, and it's not too difficult for him to just leverage certain parts of his game to cover for roster deficiencies until they get filled.
I mean, to me, this still comes down to Jamal Murray. He historically has gotten better over the course of seasons. He has been a slow starter. He gets better in the second half of years. This year, he's starting at a lower point than he has in some of those past seasons. Can he get back to the level that he was prior? Can he even get better from his prior levels? To me, that's one of the biggest questions in the entire NBA, and it is definitely the biggest question in the NBA for the Denver Nuggets. You clearly have some level of belief, though, in Murray to get back, though, to have them at number 3 in the West, right?
Just to get enough. My thing is, with Jokic playing this well, they just need to get enough contributions down the roster. And I just think somebody's going to get it going. Whether it's, like I'm sure you've heard some of these Denver fans clamoring for Russ to start over Jamal. I'm not sure that I would go that route. If for no reason,
the way it is. Like I think it's working great in the current, situation. Russ bringing that spark. I like it. Look, I was wrong about Russ with Denver so far, at least so far. Playoffs, different story. We'll see. But Russ and Jokic are working great together.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I like that as a change up too, where he can come in the game the way that he does. And most importantly, here's the thing. What happened when you won the title? When you won the title, Jamal Murray played like a superstar. That is your pathway. You need to get him back there by all means necessary, or by any means necessary. So like his rhythm, you might have to take some lumps with Jamal this year to make sure that he gets where he needs to get to by April.